By the end of this lesson, you're going to fill your vocabulary with advanced expressions to sound fluent and natural in the workplace. Today, you're going to learn 42 business English expressions. Welcome back to J First English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, let's review a group of 10 must-know business English expressions. And at the end of this group, I'm going to quiz you, so make sure you pay close attention. Let's talk about due diligence. Due diligence. Have you heard this before? Due diligence is the concept of doing very thorough research or investigation before making a decision. For example, before signing the contract, make sure you do your due diligence. And remember, due diligence, that's simply the research and investigation before signing the contract. So that's the decision you're about to make, the decision to sign the contract. Do your due diligence. Now, don't be confused here because the verb I just used is do. You do due diligence. Do is the casual verb. You can also use a more formal verb such as conduct due diligence. For example, before you accept the job offer, you should conduct extensive due diligence on the company. So you should research the company, you should investigate the company, and you should do that thoroughly to make sure you're making the right decision. So you can do due diligence or you can conduct due diligence. Now let's talk about a win-win situation. This is a situation in which all parties benefit. You win, I win, it's a win-win. For example, subscribing to this YouTube channel is a win-win situation. You win because you get to watch all of this amazing content to help you improve your English for free. And I win because by subscribing, that tells YouTube that this is a popular channel, a popular video, and YouTube will recommend it to more people. So it's a win-win situation. So make sure you subscribe, comment, like, share this video with your friends for that win-win situation. In a business context, you should also be asking yourself the question, how can I make this a win-win? You don't have to add the word situation. Native speakers will commonly drop it. How can I make this a win-win? If I ask my boss for a promotion, how can I make that a win-win? If you can make it a win-win and you can explain the reasons why your boss will win and you will win, well, then they're more likely to give you the promotion. And if you think it's a win-win, then put that in the comments. Jennifer, it's a win-win. Subscribing to this YouTube channel is a win-win. Jennifer, it's a win-win. Put that in the comments. Let's talk about to break the ice. When you break the ice, you initiate a conversation and you do that for the first time. This is used in both social settings like a party or a business setting like before a meeting or a conference. And when you break the ice, it's so you can have that initial conversation and get rid of that awkwardness when you're at a party or a meeting and you don't really know everyone there. So that's why at the beginning of a meeting or a conference, they'll often have some activities planned simply to help you break the ice. Or your boss might say, make sure you break the ice before you pitch them the product. So you don't want to start the meeting by saying, this is my product, you should buy it. You want to have some conversation first. You want to break the ice. Our next expression is to close the deal. This is when you finalize and secure a business agreement. So it means everything is complete, it's a done deal. So your boss could ask you, did you close the deal? They want to know if they've signed the contract and they're officially a customer. But maybe you reply and say, not yet, they're still doing their due diligence. Remember, you do due diligence. And then you can question, how can we make this a win-win situation so they'll want to close the deal? Now let's talk about cutting edge. This is an adjective that's often used to describe products or entire companies. If something's cutting edge, it means it's at the forefront of technology and innovation. You might say, I love working for a cutting edge company, a company that's always at the forefront, the very top of technology and innovation. Or you could say the research team is known for developing cutting edge technology. So they develop technology, but it's cutting edge. It's at the forefront of innovation and technology. Our next expression is in the pipeline. When something is in the pipeline, it means it's being developed or planned. So you might ask a company or a team or even a person, do you have any projects in the pipeline? And you're asking them if they have anything that's currently being developed or planned. Are you working on anything new? Do you have anything in the pipeline? Or you might say, let's meet tomorrow to discuss how to finalize everything in the pipeline. Because remember, the things that are in the pipeline, they're in progress. They're currently being developed. They're not final yet. And when they are, hopefully they're cutting edge. I love this next expression, to hit the ground running. This is when you start a project or task with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. And I personally always hit the ground running with new projects and tasks. I also love when my students hit the ground running. For example, Sherry just joined the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium program. She just joined the Finally Fluent Academy and she hit the ground running. So she started the program with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. She already started reviewing the lessons. She joined our private community. She's submitting exercises for feedback. She's interacting with the other students. She hit the ground running. Now let's talk about the idiom to put all your eggs in one basket. Have you heard this before? This is when you rely on only one strategy or one idea. So if your eggs are in one basket and you drop that basket, all your eggs will break, right? Because of that, we commonly use this expression in the negative. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So if a friend tells you they want to invest all their money, not just some of their money, all their money in one single stock or investment strategy, you might say you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Or you could say, it's always good to have multiple projects in the pipeline so you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Because if one of those ideas in the pipeline fails, you have other ideas. So that's always a great idea. Let's talk about to be a team player. This describes someone who works well with others in a group. What about you? Are you a team player? Put it in the comments if you are. I know many people have difficulty with this. They have difficulty working with others in a group. So be honest, are you a team player? I could say, I love working with Julio. He's such a team player. Or I could say, Michelle's extremely smart and well qualified, but she's not a team player. So I don't think she's ready for a management position. Because if you're in a management position, you need to be a team player. So don't forget this very valuable skill. Let's talk about to raise the bar. When you raise the bar, you take your standards or your expectations and you raise them. So you have higher standards, higher expectations. I could say that Apple raised the bar on what a cell phone can do. Before Apple, our expectations for cell phones was about here. Now our standards and expectations are up here. And that's because of Apple, in my opinion. Or you could say their products are cutting edge. They've really raised the bar when it comes to home security equipment. So they've raised the expectation or standards, but specific to home security equipment. So are you ready for your quiz to see how well you know these business expressions? Here are the questions. Hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready to see the answers, hit play. How did you do on that quiz? Well, let's find out. Here are the answers. Hit pause, take as much time as you need to review them, and when you're ready to continue, hit play. Amazing job. Let's keep expanding your vocabulary. Let's review another group of 10 business English expressions, and then again, I'm going to quiz you, so pay close attention. The expression to get down to business means that you start focusing on the main topic or the main task. Now, when you learn expressions, you need to pay attention to the individual words. So here we have get down to business. You need to make sure that you use the correct words and you conjugate your verb, in this case, get. So let's talk about how you would use this expression at work. Well, when you're having a business meeting, it's very common to start with some small talk. Small talk is conversation about the weather, what you did last night, the weekend, current events. It's not about the main topic. So maybe you have some small talk for 5 minutes, and then whoever's leading the meeting can say, all right, everyone, let's get down to business. Today we're going to, and then you will start discussing the main purpose of that meeting or the main topic of that meeting. This is a must-know expression because you can hear it and use it at almost every business meeting you go to. Our next expression is to touch base. When you touch base with someone, it means you briefly connect or communicate with someone. And you do that to share or receive updates or to schedule a longer conversation or meeting. For example, have you touched base with the client yet? So notice our verb is touch. So of course you need to conjugate that verb. What's the verb tense in this example? Have you touched base with the client yet? It's the present perfect in question form. So you have to conjugate that verb. Now, if someone asks you that, have you touched base with the client yet, with someone? They're asking if you have connected with that client or if you've had a conversation, even if it was only a 2-minute conversation with that person. Now, an important note is that native speakers love turning verbs into nouns. And we do that with this verb, to touch base. We turn it into a noun, and I could say, let's have a quick touch base tomorrow to discuss the conference. Notice here it's a touch base, a quick touch base. A touch base is a quick meeting or a quick conversation with someone. So you can use this as a verb, to touch base, or as a noun to sound more like a native speaker, a touch base. Now let's talk about the idiom to be on the same page as someone. This is an idiom that means you have a shared agreement or understanding about something. So if you're on the same page as someone, it means you both agree or you both disagree, but your understanding is the same, whether that's positive or negative. This is very commonly used in business meetings where you might be discussing a plan of action or a proposal or an idea, and then someone says, "Are we on the same page?" And that person is asking if everyone agrees that you should do something or shouldn't do something or should buy something or shouldn't buy something. It simply means that everyone agrees. So maybe at the conference, someone suggested that you should cancel the conference. And this person explained why. And then later, this person could say, "Thankfully, we were on the same page about canceling the conference." So this person suggested canceling the conference and everyone agreed. So everyone was on the same page. Notice the verb is the verb to be. So you need to conjugate that verb. Now let's talk about to brainstorm. Do you know this one? To brainstorm. This is the concept of generating creative ideas through group discussion. I personally love brainstorming. I love the creativity of just sharing ideas, trying to solve problems, trying to think of something new with other people. Now, this is another verb that native speakers love using as a noun, a brainstorming session. Notice how you have to add session. It wouldn't sound right to say a brainstorm session. That's acceptable, but it's more common to say a brainstorming session. So to add ing to brainstorm, a brainstorming session. With the verb, you could say, "We brainstormed a lot of great ideas yesterday." So as the verb, it's in the past simple, ed, we brainstormed. Or you could say, "We had a very productive brainstorming session." So here the verb is have, to have a brainstorming session. So you conjugate the verb. We had a very productive brainstorming session. Our next expression is to think outside the box. Have you heard this one? When you think outside the box, it means that you think creatively and you also consider unconventional ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will do something unconventional, but you'll consider it. And brainstorming sessions can be a lot more fun when you think outside the box. So let's say you have an ambitious goal, like doubling your sales. You might be at a brainstorming session and someone could say, if we're going to double our sales, we need to think outside the box. So you need to think creatively and consider unconventional ways to double your sales. And thankfully, a lot of students are thinking outside the box when it comes to ways to improve their English. The more traditional way was to study a textbook, memorize grammar rules, memorize vocabulary lists, and study this textbook for hours. But now you can have a more unconventional approach. You can think outside the box and do things like watch a YouTube video or study a native speaker on TV or in movies and use that to improve your listening skills and add expressions to your speech so you sound exactly like the native speaker. And actually, that's exactly what my students do in the Finally Fluent Academy. And I really thought outside the box when I designed this program, because I know that traditional language programs don't get results and they take a very long time to get any results. So that's why it's very important to think outside the box. Let's talk about the bottom line. This is the most important result or outcome or topic. For example, the report had 33 recommendations, but the bottom line is we need to reduce our operating costs. So the bottom line, that's the most important topic or recommendation. We need to reduce our operating costs. So let's say you're very busy, but one of your colleagues or employees comes to you and says, do you want to hear about the meeting yesterday? And you could say, just give me the bottom line. So you're asking that employee to just give you the main result, the main outcome, or the main topic. Our next expression is a great one, to call it a day, to call it a day. And this is used to say that you decide to finish work for the day. So let's say you're scheduled to finish work at 5 p.m. That's the scheduled end of your work day. And let's say today you have a brainstorming session scheduled from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So an all-day brainstorming session. Now around 3:30 p.m., maybe your boss could say, we generated a lot of amazing ideas today. I know everyone's exhausted, so let's call it a day. Your boss just gave you permission to end working at 3:30, even though your scheduled day ends at 5. And that's why this is an amazing expression, to call it a day. This next expression will help you sound very natural to keep someone in the loop. This is when you keep someone informed about something specific, or you include someone in communication. This is commonly used in email, and you'll see someone write, please keep me in the loop. If your boss sends you an email and says, please keep me in the loop, it means that your boss wants you to inform them about whatever that specific topic is. So perhaps it's, please keep me in the loop on the status of the report. Notice we use the preposition on and then the something, on the status of the report. We also use this to inform someone that we will share information with them. For example, I'm having a touch base with the client today. Notice a touch base as the noun. I'm having a touch base with the client today about the marketing proposal. I'll keep you in the loop. So I'm volunteering to keep you informed. So when I have more information about the marketing proposal, I will share it with you. Let's talk about how to use to bring someone up to speed. A very important expression. When you bring someone up to speed, it means you inform that person about recent updates or developments. So let's say someone was sick and they were off work for 2 days. So that person's knowledge is 2 days old. They don't know what has happened for the last 2 days. So when they get back to work after they recover, they might ask you to bring them up to speed. I was off sick for 2 days. Can you bring me up to speed? To do that, you will give that person all the information, updates, developments from the last 2 days specifically, so their knowledge is at the same level as everyone else. And after you update that person, they can say, thanks for bringing me up to speed. Let's talk about the phrasal verb to follow up. And you follow up with someone on something. This is when you continue communication after an initial conversation. For example, I sent the client the proposal last week, but I haven't heard back. I'll follow up today. So you had an initial conversation with that client about the proposal. This happened last week. So now you can follow up with that client on the marketing proposal. You can have another conversation in order to continue discussing what you previously discussed, the marketing proposal. So the client gets your follow-up message. There, I just used it as a noun. Remember, native speakers love doing that, a follow-up message. So the client gets your follow-up message and could say, thanks for following up. Let's touch base on this tomorrow. Let's touch base. So the verb form, to touch base. Let's touch base on this, the marketing proposal, tomorrow. Now you are going to sound very advanced, very fluent, very natural, and very professional at your next business meeting. But I'm going to quiz you to make sure you really know all of these expressions and can use them in your speech. So here are the questions. Hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready to see the answers, hit play. So how'd you do with that quiz? Well, let's find out. Here are the answers. Hit pause, take as much time as you need to review them, and when you're ready to continue, hit play. You have already learned so much. Let's keep going and you'll learn 22 more business English expressions. And there's a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Our first idiom, to see eye to eye. To see eye to eye. This means that you agree with someone or that there is agreement. You could say, it's important that the team sees eye to eye on the project's objectives. You can commonly use this in the negative to say, we didn't see eye to eye on the project objectives, which means you didn't agree.
We don't see eye to eye.
Our next idiom is very similar. It's to be on the same page. This is when you have a shared understanding or agreement. So to see eye to eye is always with agreement, but to be on the same page is when you have the same understanding. So similar, but slightly different. For example, we need to be on the same page regarding the timeline for the project. We commonly use this with get. We need to get the team on the same page. So this sounds like right now the team isn't on the same page, and get is used for that transition. So we need to get the team on the same page. Go from not a general understanding to a general understanding.
We on the same page?
I love this one. To hit the nail on the head. This means that you describe exactly what is causing a problem or a situation. So simply, your description is 100% correct. For example, you really hit the nail on the head with your analysis. Your analysis was 100% correct. You could also use the something as the subject and say your analysis hit the nail on the head. Your analysis was 100% correct. Now don't worry about writing all of these idioms down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF, so you can look for the link in the description. Our next idiom, to have a lot on one's plate. This likely describes you, it describes everyone.
I have a lot on my plate.
This means you're very busy or you have a lot of tasks to complete. You might say, I can't take on any more projects right now. I already have a lot on my plate. You could also say, I have a lot on my plate with the conference. So you could specify a specific task and then say you have many individual tasks for that one item, the conference. You have many different things to do. I have a lot on my plate with the conference. To get the hang of, this will make you sound very natural. This is when you become skilled with or familiar with something. You could say, it took a while, but I finally got the hang of the new software. So now you're familiar with the software. You're skilled at using the software. Or you could say, using idioms was tricky at first, but I got the hang of them. And hopefully my videos are helping you do that. So put in the comments, I got the hang of idioms. I got the hang of idioms. Because I'm sure you'll get the hang of them very quickly. Next, to cut corners. This is a negative one. When you cut corners, it means you do something in the quickest or the easiest way possible, but you sacrifice quality. Now, hopefully your company says we can't afford to cut corners with our safety measures. And that means your company is going to do things properly, even if it takes longer, even if it's more expensive, because they're not willing to sacrifice quality. And if your company doesn't say that, they'll get a bad reputation, and someone might say, don't use that company, they cut corners, which is not a positive thing.
You can't cut corners in life.
A ballpark figure. This is a sports reference, but it's extremely common in business. You need to know this one. A ballpark figure is an approximation or a rough estimate. So someone might ask, can you give me a ballpark figure for the budget of the project? They're asking you for an estimate. So not a specific number, just an estimate. The person could reply and say, we don't have the budget yet, but if I had to ballpark it, if I had to give you a ballpark figure, if I had to ballpark it, that's what a native speaker would say. If I had to ballpark it, I'd say $100,000. So that's my estimate of the budget, but it's not the exact number. It's just a ballpark figure.
Take a guess, ballpark figure.
Our next one, maybe you know this, to be in the same boat. Have you heard this one? This is when you're in the same difficult situation as someone else. We're in the same boat when it comes to global warming. We're all in the same situation. It doesn't matter if it happens in India or Africa or New York, it affects us all. We're all in the same boat.
I'm in the same boat.
Back to the drawing board. This one is frequently used. This is when you have to start a task or project again because your previous attempt failed. For example, the marketing campaign didn't work as expected, so it's back to the drawing board. To pull strings. Ooh, I love this one. This is when you use your influence to manipulate or control a situation. For example, she managed to pull some strings and get the project approved. So this sounds like the project wasn't approved, but she had influence. Maybe she knew someone on the board that was approving the project. So she used her relationship with that person to get the project approved. She pulled some strings to get the project approved. Someone might ask you, how did you get VIP tickets to Taylor Swift? And you can reply back and say, I pulled some strings. I pulled some strings. Our next idiom, to cross one's fingers. This is used to hope for good luck or a positive outcome. For example, I'm crossing my fingers that the client likes our proposal. And notice that I'm doing the gesture. We commonly do the gesture in North America when we use this expression. We also use this as a reply to say, I hope so. So someone might say, you'll do a great job on the presentation. And you can simply say, fingers crossed. But it's very common to do the gesture. Does this gesture exist in your culture? Let us know in the comments. Say yes it does or no it doesn't. I'm really curious to know. Fingers crossed. How about this idiom? To be on the ball. Do you know this one? This means that you're alert and quick to understand or respond. So this is a positive one. Your boss might say, our team needs to be on the ball to meet the tight deadline. So the team needs to be very quick, very alert. They need to be on the ball. Our next idiom, to throw in the towel. I hope you never do this. This means to give up or surrender. So if you say, English idioms are so confusing, I'm throwing in the towel, it means you're closing this video, you're unsubscribing from my channel, and you're quitting. So please don't throw in the towel.
She's throwing in the towel.
So put in the comments, I won't throw in the towel, I won't throw in the towel, because sometimes it might seem difficult, but keep at it. I know you'll get the hang of it. Number 14, to have one's hands tied. This means you're unable to take action because of external circumstances. So maybe you ask your boss for an extra day of vacation and your boss says, I'd like to help, but my hands are tied due to company policy. So the external situation or circumstance is the company policy. It forbids additional vacation days. So your boss can't do anything. Your boss's hands are tied. So to deliver bad news, a native speaker will commonly say, sorry, my hands are tied.
My hands are tied.
Next, to burn the midnight oil, something I never do. This is when you work late into the night. For example, we had to burn the midnight oil in order to meet the deadline. So I said this is something I never do, and that's because I believe that I'm more productive if I sleep for 8 hours. So I would rather sleep for 8 hours and then the next day I'll be very productive. If I burn the midnight oil, I'm going to waste an entire day because I'm not going to be productive. That's just my personal opinion. Next, to throw someone under the bus. Oh, this is a good one. This is when you blame someone else or sacrifice someone for personal gain or to avoid being blamed. So let's say two coworkers worked on a project together, but then one coworker publicly said the other coworker is the reason why the project failed, even though they made all decisions together. That coworker is going to be upset, and they can say, I can't believe she threw me under the bus at the meeting.
Sheldon threw us all under the bus.
Number 17, to be on thin ice. This is when you're in a risky or dangerous situation. So let's say your boss says to you, this is the third time you're late. You're on thin ice. That's not a good position to be because it means that you're in a risky or dangerous situation. In this case, you're at risk of losing your job. You're on thin ice. So management will say this to you to let you know that you're in trouble.
You're on thin ice.
Next, to hit a snag. This probably happens to people every single day. This is when you encounter unexpected problems, challenges, or difficulties. So let's say you're about to launch a new product and everything is going perfectly, but then we hit a snag when the supplier couldn't deliver the materials on time. But don't throw in the towel because I'm sure you can work through it. Number 19, to keep one's eyes peeled. This is when you stay alert and watchful for something specific. Your coworker could say, keep your eyes peeled for any updates on the project deadline. So your coworker is telling you to watch carefully for those updates.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Number 20, one that your boss is going to love, to cut a deal. This is when you reach an agreement. So an agreement is a positive thing. Your boss will be happy. But this usually happens after a period of negotiation. You could say, it took us a while, but we finally cut a deal.
Cut a new deal.
Number 21, to be up in the air. This is when things are uncertain, undecided, or unresolved. For example, the conference is up in the air. So it's uncertain if you're even going to have a conference or the status of it, the planning of it. Everything is uncertain, undecided, unresolved. It's up in the air. Or you could say, our plans are up in the air. Nothing has been decided.
That's up in the air.
And finally, number 22, in the works. In the works. This means in progress, so currently being developed or finalized. The conference is in the works. We're working on it. We're developing it. We're finalizing it. Our plans are in the works. So they're not up in the air anymore. They're in the works. Amazing job! 42 business English expressions to help you communicate your ideas fluently, naturally, and confidently. Do you want me to teach you more expressions? If you do, then put more in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can keep improving your English with this lesson right now.